Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fuel for Success on this beautiful Thursday morning. Glad to see everybody here. Um, Episode number 32, as you can tell behind me, my wife did that. If you can tell, there's a feminine touch involved. So thank you, Carol. And, you know, I'm excited about today's show. As you know, every Thursday is business development, entrepreneurship, and we'll talk about business situations and things of that nature. How are you doing this morning, Matt?
Man, I'm doing awesome, buddy. I am doing great, blessed, enjoying life. Tired of being Mr. Nice Guy, though. Have you ever felt that way sometimes?
I have on occasion.
Yeah, I'm glad today's about business because sometimes you just got to get your business, you got to get your business game on, and you got to stop smiling, and you just need to put your head down and be tenacious and get it done. So that's kind of where I'm at today. Feeling good, positive, but very business in my brain,
Focus.
and very not wanting to be a nice guy today, even though I'm planning on taking fruit to the homeless. That's as nice as I'll be all day.
That's pretty nice in reality. Um,
That is nice, isn't it? Sometimes, believe it or not, sometimes it's good to work mad. Sometimes I do my best work when I'm mad.
I've
The Bible says, "Be angry and sin not." I think we make so many men in Christianity cowards because we teach this turn the other cheek. And friends, Jesus said, "Be angry." It's okay to be angry.
I would
Bet you didn't expect me to open the show with that today, did you, buddy?
no, but with this show we just sort of have to roll with it, and I would actually concur with that. I've been incredibly productive when I was ticked off. To be honest about it, like you
And
know
I'm
what,
ticked.
I'm ticked, and I'm just
I'm
gonna
ticked today.
hammer it out. Um,
Yes.
well,
And it's too bad we have to use the word ticked, isn't it? Because all the other words are wrong.
I'm okay with it.
All right.
Hey, so what we want to do today, I'm wondering if the folks that are on the show here with us, first of all, thank you to every single one of you for joining us today. It makes my day when I jump on here and I see everybody that's interested in being a part of this. It's a blessing to us. Everybody that's here, I want you to go ahead and type in the chat box or in the question, and I'd love to hear about any challenges that you're facing today or that you faced recently in your business, in business development, that that we could talk about today. So any challenges that you're facing, go ahead and throw those up there. I'm gonna start with a question for Matt, and then he'll take 5 to 7 minutes to answer that probably, and hopefully if you have some
Is that kind of your nice way of giving me a subtle little? Um, that was smooth, Mike. That was really smooth. He's going to take 5 to 7 minutes. I like that.
I didn't want to do
Okay,
this.
fine. I'll set my timer then. Yeah, you don't want to hold up the watch.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
No, I was just giving the viewers a little bit of an insight into the flow of how I'm expecting it to go. And so please, by all means, let us know what challenges you're facing and some of the things that questions that we could potentially answer, and we'll try to get to that. Um, so let me ask you this question first of all, Matt. I think you could probably sell snow to an Eskimo, and because you've got an ability to connect with people and just those sort of things, and at the end of the day, every business is dependent on sales, right? Without sales,
It's the
there's
life
no
or
cash
death of
flow.
a business.
Exactly. And so, what's your best advice for someone that wants to succeed in sales?
Well, my best advice, Mike, let me just tell you right now. I absolutely love sales. When I say I love it, I love it. I'm not one of these people that whines about having to sell or that I feel like it's a bad job. In fact, I believe that this is why I literally believe that I fear nothing because no matter what, I can sell. And if you can sell, you're going to be a winner and you will always come out successful. So you're going to have tough skin, number one, because you're going to have to go through a lot of rejection, a lot of failures, a lot of no's. And I'm going to give you some practical advice on how to become great at sales. The first thing you have to do is you've got to learn how to ask. Most people that are in sales are horrible at sales. And I mean horrible. No. I mean they're horrible at sales.
Bad.
Because they don't connect. Yeah, they're bad. They're just a nightmare. That goes to show you there's no reason for unemployment, because if you can learn how to sell, you can make your way. Did you know that the top 3 salesmen of most companies actually get paid more than the CEO? So I'm telling you right now, I love sales because there's no, especially, I would tell any young man, go into a business where there's 100% commission. Forget salary. You don't want salary. I remember one time I was working with Jeff Arnold, and we were sitting down having lunch, and he said, I will give you 50% of the tithe of everyone that you win in this church. And I looked him in the eye, and I said, that is by far probably the biggest mistake you have ever made in your life. Because if I'm getting 50%, it's over. No. But so commission is amazing. A lot of people are afraid because everybody wants comfort and everybody wants security. They're afraid to get a sales job that's all commission. To me, I would refuse a salary and I would want nothing but commission. Listen, if I was a sales manager, I would not look for the person with the most dynamic personality. I would look for the person whose lights are turned off, whose kids are on their last meal, who's trying to feed his family, who's got desperation, or who's just been through a betrayal or something bad in his life. And the best revenge for your critics is success. So I want a failure. I want somebody who has nothing. I want somebody who has desperation. And I can take somebody like them and make them a multi-millionaire, and I can teach them how to sell. Because usually people that have desperation, that they need to feed their family, they need to survive, So I love the thrill of living off commission. There's many times I'm tempted to go for security because my lifestyle is very risky. It literally depends 100% on commission. But you have to be tough. You have to not be afraid to ask. The best salespeople, Mike, are those that are not afraid to ask questions or that know how to ask good questions. So I'm going to go into the practical in a minute. But before I do that, I want to tell you a story about not being afraid, about not being afraid to ask the big questions. I remember when I launched Soul Winners Boot Camp about 5 years ago. Back in those days, it literally cost us right at about $80,000 to do a boot camp. We did it huge. We literally leased 18 Greyhound buses. We had a conference center that sat over 1,000 people. We literally, Mike, had 900 people register, and we picked them up from the airport. We literally picked up 950 people from the airport. So when they came to Soul Winners Boot Camp in Tampa, Florida, for 5 days, we covered their hotel room, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4-night hotel, meals, transportation. So literally, they flew into Tampa. We picked them up. We took them to the Hilton. They got to stay in a nice hotel. Well, obviously, the registration that we charged did not cover that. I needed to raise probably, maybe a good $40,000. I'll never forget this. I texted Anthony Mangan, Jeff Arnold, Randy Keys, Jack Cunningham, and Wayne Huntley. And I asked them to get on a conference call with me. And they did. And I got on this conference call and I said, guys, I'm a young man. I just stepped out by faith. We're training 950 soul winners. We're literally feeding over 5,000 homeless people a barbecue dinner. I mean, I went on, and I said, and I'm asking for each of you to give me $10,000. And my cousin Travis was on the floor because he stayed with me. We shared a place together back in those days. When I hung up from that conference call, he said, dude, there is no way humanly possible I could call and ask those guys to give me $10,000. See, the number one reason why we don't have better salespeople is because people don't have the guts to ask. And the bottom line, Mike, if you want to win in sales, if you want to succeed in sales, you can't be afraid to ask for the sale. You can't be afraid to ask for the order, for the close.
Right.
At the end of the day, we think people are afraid of salesmen. The reason why people are afraid of salesmen because we haven't adequately trained salesmen across this world. To me, the best salesmen are the most genuine, authentic, real, straight up, honest, caring, committed, connect. All these things might make someone a great sales. Now, you put me on restriction, and I only have, literally a minute. My timer went off. So we'll hit more on sales next Thursday. Yes, unless you get angry at me.
Well, I'm not going to get
But
angry.
at the end of the day, if you want to be successful, in sales, thank you, Joe Giletti. If you want to be successful in sales, then you absolutely must learn how to ask good questions. That's the bottom line. You got to show interest. You got to care. You got to find out what people want. I'm blown away at how many salespeople never ask me questions. I'm blown away by it.
Yeah. That's good. Hey, I want to jump to Stephen Rodriguez asked a question. Whoops, I don't know how that got up there. I had Stephen Rodriguez's.
Because your buddy Matt Maddox put it up there, my friend.
Oh, okay. Here, we'll
go ahead. Ask Steve a question. We'll get back to Carol's.
I'm just going to re-paste it here. This is from Stephen. Starting a new internet retail business, and my challenges in finding my brand, my company name. And so his challenge is he's trying to figure out how to brand it, what his company name should be, those sort of things. First of all, I like what Joe Giletti said to him. Don't overthink the brand name. You give the name its identity through what and how you do it. And I would totally agree with that. I mean, here, I'll give you an example real quick, is Starbucks. What a dumb name for a coffee shop.
Stupid name. Stupid name.
Has no.
Like, who in the world? Yes. Or really, you imagine sitting down with Steve Jobs, said, we're going to create this company that's going to rock the world, man. It's going to be the most creative, unbelievable. Okay, the iPhone, the Mac, the iPad, its name is Apple. Apple, named after a fruit.
There's something interesting that both of those brand names have in common, though, is that they're simple and they're easy to remember. So
well, and not only that, let me settle down a little bit, because I told you earlier I'm a little fired up right now. But Mike, the deal is, my friend, here's the bottom line about branding, okay? Caleb and I were driving down the road 2 days ago, and he started Kids with a Mission. And he's like Mr. Little Businessman. He's like, so how can I make this a multi-million-dollar, ministry? I mean, he's thinking big. That's good, because I think we ought to think big. I've had it up to here with people that think small. I literally have. Like, I can't deal with small anymore. I've been around people that think big. I've been around people that challenge me to think big. I remember sitting down with Anthony Mangan and his father, G.A. Mangan, at Copeland's, and we were eating one Sunday. And Anthony Mangan was all excited. He's like, Dad, we just baptized 700 this year so far. And he was just pumped about it, And I was like, man, that's awesome. And Jay was quiet. He just stared straight ahead. And I looked over and he had a tear come down his face. And he looks directly at me and he goes, 700. He goes, that's so embarrassing. He goes, it ought to be 7,000. And then Anthony Mangan looked at me and he said, see what I had to grow up with? So I've been around people that are big thinkers. I remember when I told Kenneth Haney that I was going to start the Soul Winners Training Center and I wanted to train 10,000 soul winners. He immediately interrupted me. He said, 10,000, I want you to train 1 million. I've been around people like that are big thinkers. So we need to think big. Now, the reason why I even said all that is because Caleb and I were driving down the road, and he was asking me about branding. What should my logo be with Kids with a Mission? And, all this stuff. And I said, Caleb, listen, logo is important. But at the end of the day, when it comes to branding, your name or your logo, it's exactly what Mike said. I see companies that are unbelievable companies that I would have never, the name of their business would not have hit my top 10 list. And their logo would not have hit my top 100 list.
Starbucks.
You feel me?
Yeah.
But Starbucks again, but there's a lot of creativity behind that. And I will say this, though, to Steven Rodriguez. Finding your brand is your brand is going to be identified by what your business is going to bring to the table. Like, what are you going to be known for? So you need to find out what you're going to be known for and live that 24/7. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, like we're building Mission 25, and we're building a brand in itself. So we're known for visiting the sick. We're known for taking care of widows, fatherless kids, the homeless, troubled teens. So everything that we do at a Mission 25 is centered around those things that we want to be known for. So let all of your actions in your business be driven towards what you want to represent, what you want to be known for in the mind of anybody that has the possibility of buying your product or service. A lot of people don't understand branding. I'll tell you how powerful Apple is. My cousin Travis works for Apple, and he actually works in the store. And he literally cannot wear his Apple shirt outside, even if he goes 15 minutes to a lunch break. The moment they walk out of the store, they got to cover up their shirt. And the philosophy is because this is the most powerful brand in the world, and they know that sometimes someone might come up and ask them a question, and an employee might be off, because when you're off the clock, you're not really engaged, someone may, you know what I'm saying? So that's how protective they are of the brand. I do see a lot of mistakes that businesses make when it comes to branding. I made a lot of mistakes in my early years of business and entrepreneurship with branding. I made a ton of mistakes. And I could share those with you, and maybe I will. You know what, Mike, next Thursday, let me dive in and share some of the mistakes I've made in branding and all that. But, Steve, I would also say your name, I would say go creative, but I would say not to stress about it. I love what Joe said. I don't know what your business is going to be. Like, I'm starting a business. Mike just started a new business this week, and I am as well. And I'm doing one called A+ Living. It's centered around motivational speaking and life coaching. Is it the most creative name? I don't know, but it's going to be the most powerful. Hear me?
It's good. William, first of all, thanks for all the input. And I'm just going to pop this one up real quick because you had talked about big thinking, and William asks, for those who maybe are challenged with thinking big, how do you develop that big thinking?
Here's how you develop big thinking. You get around big thinkers. Number one, Willie, getting on this show, and then give yourself permission to think big. Listen, Jeff Arnold used to teach me, if your dream doesn't scare you, then either your God or your dream is too small. So you've got to have vision that freaks you out. You've got to give yourself permission to think big and beyond enough that it scares you. Like, literally, some of the things that I'm doing and attempting, they scare me. That's how I know I'm thinking big. And sometimes I look at things, I'm thinking way too small. For example, we've had 22,000 viewers on Fuel for Success in the last 31 episodes, right? 22,000 plus. So I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I see that number and think, man, we should literally have 200,000 viewers by now. You know what I'm saying? So it all depends on what you celebrate. Yes, I'm thankful for 22,000. I really am. Don't get me wrong by that. But big thinkers always think bigger. I remember I met a man who was a mentor of mine when I was a young man. I saw him at Because of the Times. His name is Kevin. He's a big businessman. Unbelievable. And anyways, I saw him. I was driving a Cadillac Escalade or something that a friend of mine had let me use all week, who's also extremely wealthy. So driving this nice Cadillac Escalade, and I pulled up, and Kevin was coming out of the hotel, and he's just a big thinker. And he said, "Hey, nice car." I said, "Well, it's not mine." I said, "It's a buddy." He said, "It should be yours." He's just like, "Come on." He said, "In fact," he said, "you should have an airplane." And he meant it. He wasn't fluffing. He literally thinks big. He said, "You should have your own airplane by now." And so being around those kind of people that they think big. Who's a big thinker? Donald Trump. Who also went broke and went through all kinds of financial pressure? See, a lot of people can't handle success because of the pressure that success brings. Number one thing that Donald Trump says, reason why people don't have high-level success, because they can't handle the pressure that comes along with that. Friends, high-level success, big vision, big dreams, stepping out of your comfort zone, it's pressure. And if you can't handle the pressure, you're better off staying with your 9-to-5 job and just mowing your grass and, vacuuming the floor of your house and eating at night and watching TV. Because if you can't handle the pressure, business and entrepreneurship is not for you. But if you're one of those type of people that doesn't cave under pressure and you're persistent and you persevere even when the odds are against you, and you listen, going back to sales, you got to believe in what you believe in so much. I love what Will Smith said. He said, "I don't need a plan B because I know that plan A is going to work. So why in the world would I have a plan B?" And that kind of confidence, that kind of big thinking, that kind of believing in yourself. And that is key to success in business, is believing in yourself and believing in your vision, because you're going to have a lot of critics. You're going to have a lot of people that tell you why it can't work. You know how many critics Howard Schultz had when he started Starbucks? Do you know what have any of you ever read what Walt Disney went through? I could send you an article, and if you'll remind me, Mike, I'll be happy. Somehow, Mike, we'll find. I read the best article I've ever read about Walt Disney. Walt Disney, Disney World. Listen, Steve Jobs, Walt Disney, Donald Trump, all these people, Oprah, all these people. Oh, Oprah, she's got all that money. People don't realize the work ethic of Oprah. Listen, Anthony Mangun pastors the biggest church in our organization, right? He outworks 10 pastors put together. People don't realize the work ethic of that man. So a lot of times we want success, but we don't want to pay the price.
It's good. That's all good stuff. Hey,
it's work.
Absolutely.
It's work. That's why when I was leaving the gym yesterday, I couldn't even move. And I saw a dude and I was like, now I see why they call it a workout. It's work, man. Should have taken today off, Mike. I told you I'm a little fired up today.
That's okay. Hey, Mary says, be comfortable with being challenged. Big thinkers challenge you. One thing I'm going to throw in there, is because it just seems to make sense, is, this morning, Matt, I sent you a link to a website. And one of the things that we do constantly is reevaluate. And if somebody is like doing something bigger, we look at them and not being afraid, like Mary says, be comfortable with being challenged. And be honest and introspective and say, are we failing in this area? Is there a place where we can do this better? Is there something that we can do better to achieve those big goals? And that honest self-evaluation becomes extremely powerful and extremely important in that big thinking.
Well, like for example, in our organization, the biggest thing we have going is our youth congress. We get 20,000 young people to come together for 3 days to preach to each other and sing to each other. I'm for that. I think it's cool. I think it's good for our young people. But I'm so discontented by people celebrating that as success. I'm discontented by that because I'm thinking, wait a minute. We got 7 billion people to reach. You want to talk about something to tweet about and brag about? Show me 20,000 people that'll show up to go serve the poor and go win souls and go do prayer marches and go to children's hospitals and go to homeless shelters. Then we can talk about success. Assembling people for a service inside of a building, I'm discontented by that. So a lot of times it depends on what we celebrate that marks where our thinking is.
That's good. It's exactly right. The things that we celebrate are the things that we focus on, and there's a feedback loop that says we're going to do more of what we celebrate. So
I remember what Kenneth Haney told me. I said, I asked Kenneth Haney, what's it like to pastor a mega church? This guy was running 5,000. He said, I don't know. He was sincere. We were sitting at the Cheesecake Factory. He was eating avocado egg rolls, which he loved. And we were sitting there eating. And I said, what's it like pastoring a mega church? He goes, I don't know, Matt. He said, I haven't done it yet. He goes, what makes you think a church of 5,000 and big? Literally said to me, a church of 5,000 is small.
Wow.
See what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? He's like, we need to be filling coliseums. I'm like, oh. You know.
I'm convicted and inspired, and
it all depends. Well, it all depends on what we celebrate. That goes. I want to drive that home. If you're content, you know, some people have $100,000 in the bank and they get depressed because they feel so broke. Some people have $100 in their bank and they're like, yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All depends on what you celebrate, and that's going to determine. It's called desperation. It's called passion. It's called the push. Most people can't handle success because success is their worst enemy. You need to succeed and get over it in 45 seconds.
That's good. That's powerful right there. We could hang on that for a while. By the way, you wrecked Joe. Joe's wrecked. He's running around in the fetal position. So
Joe wrecks me. Joe, I'm wrecked. I'm wrecked by your profile picture.
Yeah,
it's right. Cool.
Hey, Joe started doing
I need
MMA
to be cooler.
Again. Huh?
Oh, he did. Good job, Joe. You doing the MMA?
I think I saw a post on that.
Attaboy, Joe. Good shout out to my friend Derek Weber I see on here today. Jeff Sandler. Good to see all of our viewers, Mike. Well, we got about 4 minutes. Let's hit one more question. Maybe someone has asked.
Yeah, I got one. Tammy had to run, but she'd asked a question before she left. When funds are low, what's a good way of advertising? This is completely jumping topics, but I think it's a good question to ask.
I'm going through this. We're going through this with Mission 25. Obscurity is the death of a business. People just don't know, right? I mean, I talk to people literally on the phone every day that are on my Facebook and my Twitter that when I tell them about Mission 25, they're like, whoa, when did you start that? I'm like, I don't know. I've sent 800 tweets about it. You haven't seen it? Because this is what we're doing on our phones, right, Mike? We love this. This is what everybody's doing. So at the end of the day, my friend, the only way to win is in the streets. It's in the one-on-one. Here's how we're going to win in advertising. You ready? Billboards, waste of money. TV ad, waste of money. Hear me? Facebook campaigns, good use of money, right, Mike? I'll have you talk about that because you know that. But at the end of the day, best advertisement is right here. Pick up the phone. I talked to a girl this week who's very successful in business, who has 2 kids, who her and her kids slept in their car for 2 months and starting her business. She makes 300 phone calls a day. Wow. That's how people are going to hear you. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. You got to get out there and you got to beat the streets. Twitter, this is why I took a little Twitter and Facebook break a while back, because it is Twitter and Facebook, believe it or not, has completely sabotaged my success because it made me lazy thinking that I could just put a tweet out and share my stuff. Man, you got to be a freak. That's why I'm on Snapchat. That's why I'm on Vine. That's why I'm on YouTube, Twitter. You got to be everywhere. You can't. Nowadays, people call it self-promotion. It's not self-promotion. It's called survival. Because if you don't get out there and start talking about your stuff, then you're going to lose. Say something about Facebook, Mike.
Sure. Well, personally, I hate Facebook, but use it.
I hate it.
It's yeah. But from an advertising standpoint, and I don't want to get into the technical details of advertising, cost per click and cost per view and all those sort of things, but the money spent to boost a post or to advertise on Facebook is probably one of the most cost-effective way to reach people, and you can be extremely focused in your target and extremely focused in who you're trying to reach. One very important thing is make sure that you respect the platform. You know, people are on Facebook for a certain reason. There's a certain psychology behind why they're on Facebook as opposed to Pinterest, for example, which is a completely different psychology. And so you want to, you know, kind of hit that psychology and bring to them what looks like a natural and a native post on Facebook, and then you can spend money to get that in front of more people. And that's an extremely cost-effective way to do sort of more mass advertising.
That's some good stuff, Mike, and I think maybe you should hit on that next week as well. Yeah, guys, ready for this? And before we close, if you ain't sweating, if you ain't crawling out of bed at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, if you're not working yourself to exhaustion, you're not going to have a breakthrough. You're just not. You've got to be absolutely all in if you're going to break through in this age. People think it's easy because of social media. It's actually hard because of social media.
So much noise. Hey, we've got some other.
That's enough for you to chew on.
Exactly. We've got a bunch of other questions
got good
we'll
questions?
get to. We're going to hang on to them. William, we'll get to that question definitely. And we'll cover them next week.
Very good. We will, Mike. Let's start off with these questions because there's some good ones. Ashley asked, William asked good questions. William, thanks for coming on our show and asking good questions, man. I appreciate that. Mike,
Yes.
I'm going to work mad the rest of the day. Hear me?
Execute in anger. Is that what you're doing?
No smiles today. None.
All right. Love you. Got to go.
Want to grow a beard.
All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for family and relationships. And Matt's going to juice and
Tomorrow's
work.
Valentine's Day.
God bless y'all.